Hello and welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. How many of you remember that old saying? If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? We probably have all heard that before, at least those of us who are not still youngins. Some of the younger folks might go, what? Tree, forest, fall, sound, what? Maybe some of the young ones have never heard that, but I would dare say most of us have heard it. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, Adrienne, why are you waxing poetic today? Well, first of all, I am kind of poetic, but beyond that, I want to make a connection here. Last night, Brittney Griner did something that no one has ever done before. Brittney Griner slam dunked the basketball in Unrivaled, making her the first player to ever dunk the basketball in the history, albeit very brief history, of Unrivaled. Now, forest, tree, sound. Hang with me. It'll make sense, I hope. One of the things that we've heard a lot is that some people do not enjoy watching women play basketball because the women don't dunk the basketball. I personally have said many times, I don't think that that is the deciding factor of what is exciting basketball and what is not, what will draw people and what will not. And I use Caitlin Clark as exhibit A because as far as I know, Caitlin has never dunked the basketball, and yet she has drawn people to the game by the droves. So again, you don't have to dunk the basketball to draw in people. Okay, so that's where I stand on it. However, there are people who truly feel like the interest level would skyrocket if women begin to dunk the basketball. Well, Brittney Griner did that. Had not been done before in Unrivaled, although we've seen it in college. We've seen it in the WNBA, including Brittney Griner in the WNBA, which I'll show you in a moment. But again, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around, does it really make a sound if no one can hear it? The ratings are showing that people are not watching Unrivaled like I'm sure Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart had hoped. I'm sure as the players had hoped. You guys know I'm watching, but lots of people are not watching, and people who are tuning in are not hanging out there. So here's someone who did what many people, including people like Shaquille O'Neal and others who said women should lower the rim so people can dunk. Those people who feel like the interest would be higher. Well, Brittney Griner dunked the basketball, but ratings show, we'll see what the new ratings that come out, but ratings have shown that most people probably didn't even see it. So if most people are not seeing it, is she really making any noise, so to speak? You got to make noise in the women's basketball. Make some noise for this. Make some noise for that. Well, if she dunked the basketball, but the multitudes of people are not there to see it, did it make any noise? Is it going to change things? Is it going to move the needle? Now, I heard her say in the post game, because Lisa Leslie asked her a question in the post game conference, spoke highly about what she did, told her how much we're glad that she's back. I'm assuming she meant Russia. And, it was a whole big exciting thing for Lisa Leslie, very kind in her comments. And Brittney Griner said, thank you, of course. And she also said, I'll try to do it again. Now, Unrivaled is soon to wrap up, about 2 weeks left before playoffs begin. So, did it make any noise when the word gets out that Brittney Griner has dunked the basketball in Unrivaled is that going to cause people to say, you know what, I'm going to watch these next 2 weeks because I want to see if Brittney Griner is going to do it again? She says, I'm going to try to do it again. What about you? If you're not watching Unrivaled, are you tuning in now because this historical basketball play, if you want to call it that, went down, literally went down? How does that change things? How does that move the needle for Unrivaled and for the larger picture for women's basketball? Does this make any noise at all? Because we could say the tree fell, or Brittney Griner as the tree knocked down the basketball through the hoop, causing it to fall. But not too many people were around to take notice. So will there be any noise made at all? And once the word is out, which is getting out, I mean, there's social media posts about it, etc. Does that change things for the game is really what I'm saying, and kind of using that analogy to pose that question. You can let that ruminate in your spirit while I show you the dunk in the Unrivaled game. And for historical purposes, let's just say it was March 3rd, 2025, the inaugural season of Unrivaled. So I'm over at Rosalina Lee's X page, and you can see here it says Brittney Griner with the dunk, then drills a three immediately after. Yeah, I left that part out. She did. After the dunk, the next possession, she drills the three. So it wasn't a dud, right? It wasn't like a big throwdown and then a missed layup or the air ball. She drained the three. Okay, so she got inside, outside skills. Let's take a look. She's happy. Let's look at it again. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The first slam dunk in the history of Unrivaled. Back here on Rosalina Lee's page. Now that I've given Brittney Griner her due, showed her dunk, showed how historical this was, now I got to put the coach's hat on, and now I got to talk about defense. Brittney Griner is on the floor with the number one team in Unrivaled. The Lunar Owls, the Hootie Hoo team. Okay. They lost one game so far this whole season. The Fisa Collier's team. And right here, you've got Alicia Gray over here. But right here, you got Courtney Williams and Shakira Austin. Is there a reason why Brittney Griner, who is 1,000,000 feet tall, is wide open underneath the basket? Somebody help me. This is just horrible defense. So kudos to you, Brittney Griner, for making them pay and stuffing it in their faces, because there's no way this should ever happen. What are you guys doing? There it is again. Look at this defense. 2 people over here, 3 people surrounding somebody who's not that big of a threat. And obviously she makes the pass. And Brittney Griner says, you know what? You want to play silly basketball? Then I'll make you pay for it. Okay? But yeah, the defense is just terrible. So not to take away from Brittney Griner, it's not her fault they played this like that. There's no way she should be that open. Makes you kind of wonder. And this is the number one team. They're now, I think, 11-1, or are they 12-1? Let me just plug this in right now. I want to get it right. Let me get this right. I'm going over to the standings on the page. They are 11-1 now after the win last night, Monday night. And so they know how to play this 3-on-3. Right? And yet Brittney Griner is wide open. Okay, anyway, had to point that out. Coach's hat has to be on. I got to give her applause. At the same time, I got to go, what are you guys doing on defense? Now, let's look at Brittney Griner slamming the basketball in the WNBA. I'm at ESPNW. This is way back in August of 2019.
For the starting guard, 2 of 3, 5 points for Gray. Inside, all alone, Brittney Griner, and she jams it. Dunk number 13 in her WNBA career, including the playoffs.
Okay, so there we have it again. And we also see again, she's wide open. Dallas Wings left her wide open. So here comes Brittney Griner running the floor. Cuts across. And then you get two people running out here, leaving Brittney Griner by herself. And so she makes them pay what she should. This person over here, I can't even tell who this is, just pointing. Oh, she's over there. It's kind of pointing. Anyway.
All alone, Brittney Griner, and she jams it.
And she's rather excited about it. And yet I'm still left with the question. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around, does it make a sound? Because I just heard him say that was her 13th. Is that what he said? Her 13th dunk? And yet you still have people saying women need to be dunking the basketball. It still hasn't drawn them in. Of course, it doesn't happen a whole lot. Will that make a difference? Will that cause it to make some noise? You tell me in the comments. But in any case, we'll find out if things like that happen more often. And she says she plans to do it again. And Unrivaled is about to end soon. Are you tuning in? Has the needle been moved? Has the noise been made? Do you care? Just wondering. Just a question. So I'll leave you again with the thought, with the question. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound?